All right. So, Chainsaw Man chapter 131 just dropped, and it's a big chapter in terms of info and exposition, and just about. I think it's the biggest info dump of the series so far, other than that one Makima chapter where she explains the origins of Chainsaw Man. So let's get into it. Uh, da, da, da. So to start, I should summarize the chapter quickly. So the worm-looking devil eats Denji and Asa from last chapter, but then immediately throws up. But not because of he's not throwing up because he ate the chainsaw. He's throwing up because Nayuta is making him from the background. But the falling devil, she doesn't recognize that. So she was insulted by this disrespect to the meal that she prepared. So in response, she can blast a hole in him with I'm not sure what she's hitting him with. Just looks like one of the random Dragon Ball blast, which that's a new thing that we haven't seen yet. I don't think we've ever seen anyone quite do that other than Makima with her finger gun. But back then, I think the consensus, because we thought that she had like absorbed the Gun Devil's powers, whereas in this case, the Falling Devil just does it. So maybe it's a different power that we don't know about. But anyways, the Falling Devil kills this. We still haven't found out what this devil is either, but I guess it's not important. But right, she blasts him, and then it is revealed that she was working for Fami to orchestrate this whole incident, which is I didn't expect that because previously we thought that, or at least I thought that there was a hierarchy to the primordials and then the horseman devils, right? But that doesn't appear to be the case. I think someone last week mentioned that because of like their food related themes, that's why the falling devil is a bit more subservient to Tammy. But that that seems to be the case here. And Tammy orders her to return. It looks like the falling devil's dying here, but that's not quite the case because remember the body is from like the combination of like 20 people. So that's not her real body. So she bursts up in flames and returns to hell, presumably. And then it was revealed that Nayuta was the one that mind controlled this particular devil to make him throw up Denji and Asa. Ba-ba-ba. And then Nayuta and Fami proceeds to have a conversation about why this is happening or why she's doing this. And it refers back to the prophecy that Fami and Yoshida spoke about a couple chapters ago about Nostradamus' prophecy. And that prophecy refers to the end of the world, presumably by an apocalypse by devils overrunning the earth. Ba-ba-ba. Da-da-da. And Nayuta was actually pretty on board with it until Bammy reminds her of the human, worldly desires, the positives of the human world, that she changes her mind. So Bammy wants to prevent the apocalypse because there are food that she enjoys, like pizza and what's the other one she said? Chinese food. Da, da, da. Yeah, Chinese food. And then Bammy tries to team up with Nayuta, but she turns her down because she has school. It's not really I guess there's no reason why she can't do both, but she doesn't. Blah. So that's the end of the chapter, and there's a bunch of info dump. So I'll do like a bullet point for some of the important aspects of this chapter. Oh, what should I call it? Keynotes from the chapter. Uh, Important info of chapter. I should make the brush smaller so I can not write in big blobs. Let's see, 10 should be good. So we actually got more info on. Well, we got the most important is the confirmation of prophecy. We kind of had an idea of what the prophecy was going to be previously, but how do you spell prophecy? Did I spell that right? Prophecy. End of road. Exclamation marks for importance. And just a reminder, this is supposed to come in, I believe, July. And it is currently March. And we know that because when we first saw Denji in Nayuta's apartment, we saw a chart next to the chart of them like counting their farts. Above it said like March, so that's how we knew. So we have about 4 months to prevent this apocalypse. We also see Fammy's goals, which is to prevent this particular apocalypse. I should have made a longer canvas actually, because this is not enough. We kind of understand the allegiances of some of the characters. This is from let me see, they briefly talk about Yoru in this chapter. And from the way it seems like Yoru is going to be opposing Bammy in her goal of stopping the apocalypse. So Let me see. Well, let me go for goals first. Her smaller scale goal in terms of what she did the past couple chapters. So she orchestrated the attack to starve out Asa and Yoru, not necessarily to kill them. Uh, to control her. The heck's that? Clicked on something. To control her. So I'm gonna have to look at like what she did because this kind of makes what she did in the aquarium and talking to Yoshida kind of conflicting. Or not necessarily conflicting, but it's like she can already separate Asa and Yoru. So this seems like a I don't know. We don't really get like the full extent of her powers, but it's like this seems like the most complicated way to go about what she did. Well, I guess it makes sense because she was trying to trap Asa in the aquarium. So they didn't have food there. So this makes sense actually, now that I think about it for like 30 seconds. See what else. But her larger goal is to stop what is apparently the age of the devils. I should capitalize that because it's like an important event. Da, 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 da. Ba, 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 ba. So she isn't working alone so far. She has at least the falling devil working for her. Oh my god, that handwriting is terrible. Possibly eventually Nayuta. Maybe Yoshida, because they do share. From what it seems, they do share the same goals. So, well, actually, now that I think about it, could the fake chainsaw man is probably posing her because he's still in hell from what it looks, and I don't know. Let me erase this whole part about allegiances because I don't think we have enough info to make definite statements. Uh, but yeah, we also learned a lot about how her powers work, and in general how the horseman powers should work. So this chapter, Fami stated that she can control people who starve. Let me find a screenshot of that. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. So right, here's the screenshot. Whoops, keep drawing. All right. So here's the screenshot of her stating her powers. You know what? I can just move it here. I don't even have to write nothing. Alright, here we go. Oops. So going by this trend, because Makima controls those she see as inferior beings, and then Yoru controls things that Yoru's kind of weird because she controls things that she feels are already hers. So there's like a slight. It's kind of similar to Makima's already. But there's like a slight difference. And then Fami controls like people who are starving. So going by this trend, I assume like when death shows up, she's gonna control, dead people. But that's also kind of what the zombie devil did. But I assume here that the difference is going to be that they still keep their sentience. So there might even be a chance that we see some dead characters come back with the appearance of the death devil. But it's not very likely because there's like a 1 year and a half to 2 year time skip since part one. So Aki, Power, they're like skeletons at this point. Actually, no, Power's already. She's like not even the skeleton, but Aki's like a bunch of skeleton decayed in his grave, and so are most of the deceased character from part one. So it's not very likely. Hmm. Let's see. But yeah, and probably the most, well, I wouldn't say the most important part, but the biggest indicator for some of our future chapters is that we finally get to see Nayuta and big exclamation marks. And we get to see not just her from like at home being creepy, but we get to see her doing everyday things, which is what the end of part one kind of promised us. That's what we were led to expect out of part two. Now we're finally getting that. Perhaps we get a slice of life. Mm, and yeah, let me see what else I can gather from this particular chapter. Ba-ba-ba. I guess that's about it for most of this chapter. Let's see. So I guess next I could talk about like the future of this future events. Mm, so right away I'm kind of not really confused, but you know, like thinking about the future of Nayuta when it pertains to her not just character, but like her physiology, right? Because she came to the human world as like a child, already like a 10-year-old. She wasn't like a baby, and then growing up like a like a human being do. So one thing I kind of want to see is answered is like if she ages or is she just like a forever 10-year-old. Because Kishibe did say that the Japanese government like raised Makima, but we don't know particularly. And there's also a matter of Nayuta's character. Maybe future events isn't like the best thing, best tag for these points, but let's see. It's also a matter of her character and how much of it is like Denji's influence and how much of it is what she is implicitly. Well, not implicitly. What's the word for inherently? That's the word I was looking for. Her character. That's an ugly question mark. Right, because if you remember Makima, she was already very, like, she was kind of a glutton when it comes to food, which is, it's not a unique trait with Denji, right? And then she does have feelings for, like, positive feelings towards humanity, even though she, killed a lot of people. But it's like, because I think I don't remember the specific chapter, but it was said that the more devils like humans, the more they themselves would look human. So I guess it's like a recurring trait for all of the horseman devils, and even Yoru to an extent, even though they think she's like with the she's down with the apocalypse and ending humans, but she must harbor some positive feelings for humanity, or she wouldn't look like that. Then again, she did like first show up in the form of like an owl. So it could be that she turned more human like after she combined with Asa. Let's see. But yeah, Nayuta is probably what I'm excited the most about part two. And I think that's the same for most people as well. Because most of us came into part two thinking that like it's all gonna be about Denji and Nayuta, but it wasn't. Let's see. I guess her interactions with her classmates and peers, because from what little we've seen of her, she was actually like a pretty positive student in school. She's not like bullying anyone, she's participating in classes. And Denji even said that he wanted her to go to college. He thinks that she is smart. So it's so like from the little information that we were told, she's actually taking school seriously. Which is so Nayuta's character. Another thing is there's a pretty big departure from Fujimoto's one shot with which is Yogen no Nayuta. It's like a where he first came up with Nayuta, but in terms of actual character, that Nayuta, she doesn't speak at all, and she's kind of like, how do I say it? She's like autistic in terms of what she does. She can't like communicate. She can't communicate normally. She uses like very random words to get her point across, which is not the case with our current Nayuta. So I wonder how much influence is going to be left from that Nayuta, especially pertaining to like her school life. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Oops, I clicked on something. All right, and another thing about Nayuta is her memories of her previous lives. Because if you remember, Makima, she was able to remember a lot of things that she shouldn't have any business of remembering. Like, not just things from her previous life, but even things that Pochita erased. So, in this case, it's gonna be like the question is like, will her memories as Makima and previous iterations of the Control Devil return? And I don't think we were given really a whole lot of info on that other than Makima's little speech, as well as like what we can infer from Kishibe's exposition. But other than that, I think it's definitely going to be a plot point somewhere down the line. Let's see, because Nayuta does act more mature at times than what you would expect out of a 10-year-old. Like this chapter where she's over there talking to Fami, like very, what do you say, very in control of the situation. She's like, she has maturity in a lot of ways that I don't know if it's just like the way, that might also just be the way Fujimoto writes children, especially children with great powers like that. Because I don't know, maybe if you give a 10-year-old like omnipotent powers, they will also be very mature. Let me see. Go over the chapter to see what else. Mm, ba-ba. Mm. Now that I'm looking at my own handwriting, it looks really bad. I like to attribute it to just like me using a tablet. I'm sure my handwriting is better on paper. My handwriting, I actually haven't like wrote words on a piece of paper in a long time. now that I think about it. Is yeah. Let's see what else. I guess I can make a little note of allegiances of some of the characters. That's another thing I wanted to do earlier, but it wasn't space on the paper to do so. Oh my god. Did I spell that right? Oh, God. I should sign up for some calligraphy classes. But anyways, so let's see. Allegiances of the characters. I guess we can sum it up to for Apocalypse and against. Oh my god. I should have put against on the left because there is more characters that we know that are against. So I can't really. Well, I guess let's start with against. There is a definitely Fami. She's super against, and by extension, because the falling devil is subservient to her, even though I don't think she knew the reason she's helping Fami. And by extension, the other devil, I'm just gonna call him like the bald devil. I think I don't know if there's like a consensus on the fan base on what the devil is, but previously we talked about that. I think it's we think it's like the caterpillar devil. Some, at least I do. Did I not put an N in falling? Did I really not spell? Yeah. Anyways, by extension, the other devil was also helping them. I'm just gonna call him like the bald devil because he was very bald, but he is now dead. So I don't know if the next iteration of that particular devil is gonna help. Uh, I guess Denji is also against it because why wouldn't he be? And I think from this chapter, that Bammy kind of talked about Chainsaw Man stopping it. She didn't make it sound like he was key to it. Uh, I kind of thought the opposite when I first read it, but she made it sound like he was barely, well, not barely, but she said like neither you, referring to Nayuta, nor the Chainsaw Man were able to stop the prophecy. But I guess we can assume Denji is there by default. This was the line of dialogue she mentioned. Uh, Utah kind of stated that she was against it too, although she wasn't gonna do anything about it. I need to sneeze. Oh my god. Ba ba ba. Yoshida seems to be against it as well. Him and his organization, since he confronted Amy about this particular incident, as well as the Future Devils visions. It's I know Yoshida. I'm not sure if he's associated with the government at this point, because everything he says seems like he is. But then the way he phrased it, he said like his organization seems like it's independent of the government. Honestly, this is kind of dumb because I assume like every human being would be against the apocalypse happening. Presumably. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Uh, okay. So that's everyone we have that we know are against the apocalypse. The Age of Devils. That's such a cool name. Oh shoot. I realized I copied it all onto the same layer. That was foolish of me. I gotta erase. Gah. Uh, ba, 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 ba. And on the other hand, the people that are actively rooting for the end of the world. From this conversation, Bammy made it seem like Yoru's gonna want the apocalypse. Oh my god, I misspelled that. Yoru. Um, right now, I would assume that she would be, just because she thrive off conflict, and a world being overran by devils is gonna. It's a pretty big conflict. Uh, I guess we have maybe the fake Chainsaw Man, because he was actively trying to stop the Falling Devil from having Denji and Nasa eaten. So, but he doesn't know. Presumably, he doesn't know like what Bammy was planning. I'm gonna put him here, but like with a question mark, just because his goals are. We don't know like what he wants. Da, da, da. I guess that's it for characters that would want the apocalypse. Well, I guess the future devil in particular would want it because he was the one that saw Yoshida's prophecy, and then he's a instigator. He thrives off of people's misery, but that's also most devils. Because from what we've seen, even though the future devil, he wants certain outcomes to happen, he doesn't actively change anything. Well, I guess he could, because when Aki had him in his eyeball, he used him to prevent futures where he dies. So there's like a bit of a, what do you call it? Like a paradox with the future devil, because some of his futures are avoidable, but some of his are not. So we don't know in this case, and there's even a chance that he might interfere to make sure that this particular event happens. I'm gonna put a question mark next to him as well. There's also the ultimate evil that Fami was talking about. Ba-ba-ba. Right. Let's see. I think Chinese food and pizza are more valuable to preventing. Yeah, because if Fami used to be, if she was like 100% honest here, then apparently her goal is to just preserve Chinese food and pizza, which is understandable. Oh, something interesting about Chinese food and pizza is that, let me pull a screenshot. So, when Fami told Nayuta about Chinese food and pizza, Nayuta only responded words pizza. She kind of ignored the whole Chinese food part. That might be because when she was born in China, remember, like when Kishibe went up to Denji, he's like, I kidnapped her from China. So we don't know about her circumstances before that. She was only there for what I would assume is like a few weeks, depending on how long it took between the end of chapter 96 and 97. But if like she didn't have a good time in China, then maybe she might be not so positive towards Chinese food. Also, pizza in Japan is like crazy expensive. I have a friend in Japan, and each time he orders a pizza, it's like he tells me it's like $40 to $50 for one box. So that's just insane level of pizza cost. But anyways, let's see. There's also the ultimate evil that Fami was talking about. We don't really have enough info to speculate who that is. I think most fans are saying it's like Death, because that's the only one that haven't shown up yet. Ultimate, what was the word she used? I think like terror. Ba, ba, ba. So in theory, it could be Death, but there's also like a bunch of other fearful devils out there. Like Makima said, before Denji, or not before Denji, before Pochita ate them all, there were four other possibilities to the end of your life other than death. So perhaps there are even more terror out there. And this is a good chance for Fujimoto to flex his Lovecraftian knowledge. Ba-ba-ba. Mm, let me see. I think I talked about all there is to talk about this chapter. Let me go over the chapter again to see if there's anything I can discuss to. Ba, ba, ba. Oh, usually I talk about the title of the chapter. So the title of this particular chapter is Taste of Crap. And this one is kind of a little hard to find a something to connect with because there are several instances of characters saying something tastes like crap, like when Denji was talking to Kobeni about his life, he said something along those lines. Let me find a screenshot of that. But there's also like other instances, and thing about I think he said something like that to Asa a couple chapters ago when they were falling towards the sky. Let me grab a screenshot of that as well. But it's like the way the official translators they translate a lot of words to just crap. So I'm not quite sure how accurate the translation is until I read the Japanese raws. So it could be like a callback to some of these moments, but it also maybe not, depending on how accurate the translators are. Uh, yeah, but there's also going to be a break next week for Chainsaw Man chapters. So the next chapter is going to come June 13th, fortunately. Uh, yeah. So that's about it for the things I can discuss from this chapter. All right. I'll be done for today. I'll see you guys later.